Welcome, welcome, welcome. How is everybody doing? It is October 1st, 2025, government shutdown day in the US. It's happened. This is RambleCast. I'm your host, Cody Toombs, and with me I have Corbin Davenport.
Hello. I'll
So,
make the joke I already made since you brought up the shutdown. Is that the Capitol? Since it's October, the Capitol building is turning into a spirit Halloween. So I'm excited for that.
I like that. Um, and that'll go well with the installation of the UFC ring.
Yes, and um, the government shut down over spending. And speaking of spending, I'll do a quick shout out. The Techathon charity stream was this past Saturday, and it lasted for 12 hours about, and we raised $549.20 for Doctors Without Borders, which I'm very happy with. It's a little over half the goal, but it was the goal that we just randomly put in. So
it was already an arbitrary goal, so
right, it was an arbitrary goal. We made it past that. I'm sure some of the people watching or will watch later on donated, so thank y'all. I'm pretty happy about that. I was honestly not expecting that. Just because it's more difficult than it used to be to get the word out about that in tech journalism world with everyone spread across different platforms. So I'm happy with that. I think that's a success.
agreed. Also just with the fact that lately there have been just more charity streams and more efforts to raise money, and obviously there's also just a much worse economy now than there was during some of the other streams, so not least of all because hey, lots of people don't have jobs now. This is not a political stream, I swear, but yeah, people just are not in as good a place to make donations like they used to be. So, yeah, I think this was a pretty valid accomplishment.
Yep. And I initially wanted to do another one before the end of the year. Absolutely not. I'm good. I'm good. I'm really tired. That was a lot of work, and a lot of work from everyone else. So definitely next year, sometime maybe two next year. I don't know. It all depends. But the good news is that, again, as I said before, a lot of the work on this one was like building up better infrastructure and management stuff so that future ones are easier. And I'm reminded of a couple other things I need to do for make sure I do for next time. Especially like scheduling. Scheduling's really hard. I understand why that's like an entire like career of like event planning that people do, because it is difficult and time consuming.
Yeah, I'll second that on many levels. Wow, looks like my mic's still a bit low. Bump it a little higher. That didn't change anything. Okay. So yeah. And I'll even second it. I wasn't even part of the planning, and or not really. And yeah, I at the end of that, it wasn't even that long in terms of streaming for me, just the setup with the day going into it and everything else. Yeah, as soon as it ended, I went and got some ice cream to soothe the throat a little bit, and I was in bed like 15-20 minutes later, and I think I was asleep like 5 minutes after that. It had been a long day leading up to that, and then, I think I ended up, because I went past my initial scheduled blocks. I think I ended up going 6 hours. It was pretty sure it was 6. Maybe
Very,
it was
very,
7.
very possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a lot.
It was a lot, yeah.
Or, well, it was a decent amount. Like I said, not even that far over what I normally do. Just the whole day leading up to it was also plenty.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah. Still a good time. Seems a bit better now. Okay. But yeah, still a good time. I'd say certainly worth it, and look forward to doing it again. But yeah, we'll see when that time is going to be. And I will reiterate what I've said in the past for scheduling them in the future. Any time that is just not summer, because summer is such a terrible time to do them. Not because people won't watch, but because, oh my god, the heat. So many of us live in places where it's going to get hot, and I don't think any of us want AC running or to be in a stupidly hot office.
Yeah.
So
yeah, good techathon. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for again, there's people watching who were there, so thank you for tuning in, and more to come.
Indeed.
And jarring shift in tone. We have, I guess, briefly talk about TikTok again. I don't have a lot to say.
Oh no, there is so little to say on this. It's literally just, hey, remember that thing that we talked about last week? It's actually now real, kind of, mostly.
Yeah.
The basic update.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the TLDR of the update. It comes down to this. The deal was signed on this side of the ocean. So Trump approved it. Apparently, everyone on this side of the ocean again hasn't approved it. It's now waiting on China to approve the deal. And the other big part of the news is literally nobody knows what the deal is outside of TikTok is being valued at $14 billion, and the ByteDance is going to retain 19.9% ownership. And the US and foreign investors, it definitely is not just the US, will be taking over 80.1%. So yeah, that's literally all we know. We do not officially know who all of the investors are, though pretty much everyone rumored in the past is known to be involved. That's about it. Like, they have made a point of keeping a lot of details quiet, which I'm still very confused by. I think that's problematic if this is something that required official approval. I don't know why the United States would not disclose who is going to own all of this data. But I think we all have a pretty good sense of why.
Yeah, I'm just I'm really over this. This is one of many things I'm really over, and I don't even use TikTok. I'm just like, I don't know, this whole thing where the Democratic Party successfully got into allowing, like, getting TikTok to have to sell its U.S. operations just in time for the Democratic Party to go out of power, and they just kind of hand that to Trump. So immediately he gets the victory of, I've unbanned TikTok, literally first thing in office. And then this whole back and forth where he's trying to find someone to buy it, which all of this is illegal, by the way. Like, the actual law that I know there's like a million things right now that are illegal that shouldn't be happening, but this is one of them. Is like, Congress said it has to be by this date. Either they, spun off the U.S. operations or whatever, or it gets banned, and that can only be amended by Congress because that's how the government is supposed to work. And instead, we just keep getting like executive orders that kept pushing it until finally now there's some kind of deal going to happen. So yeah, I don't. I'm just. It's frustrating, and it's frustrating that this is in no small part because TikTok is the only social media platform that the United States is not, or it's not under the United States, I should say. It's by another company, another country, and in no small part, it's because TikTok has helped fuel the pro-Palestine movement in the United States and elsewhere, and help that information disperse a little bit better than other platforms. So
I would argue there are a lot of other political things that came before that too.
yeah, that's just the most recent,
Yeah.
high profile example. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff, and it goes both ways, right? There's a lot of like hateful right wing shit on there too, but that's not what the U.S. government is concerned about right now. So
yeah. So anyway, that's just a thing.
That.
Again, this is kind of the quick follow up. I don't think we need to sit on this topic for any time at all. One quick thing that it's not in our lineup, but seeing as we're about to talk about Amazon, one really quick acknowledgement, just as a reminder. It is basically 1 week away, effectively a week away. It'll be the 7th on next week. Amazon Prime Day returns. We've talked about this before. There's no topic here. It's just a reminder. Get ready for it. That being said, I am going to have a website up with affiliate links. So if anyone feels like making any purchases, that would help me out. And yeah, I'll share more about that in the Discord later. Let's see. So yeah, moving to the actual topic on here. Oh boy. Amazon has decided Fire TV is firing Android.
Yeah, so if you've ever used a Fire TV product before, I'm sorry. But no.
Yes.
The Amazon's TV streaming stuff has not been good, I think, ever. Certainly every time I used it, but it has been a couple years, so I grant them that. And part of the reason for that, not entirely, but part of the reason for that is they've been doing the same thing as Google and Roku and all these other, streaming stick manufacturers, where they are trying to produce the cheapest possible electronic ever. And you have to compromise a lot on the hardware for that to happen, even if on something that should be as simple as thing that plays Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with that is that Amazon's Fire TV software is based on Android, which still kind of needs a lot of RAM and like an okay CPU and video encoding and decoding and that kind of stuff. And that's just always been too much for the hardware that they're willing to put in these streaming sticks. And I mean, even Google has struggled with that. Like, I heard so many complaints. I don't know so much about the current Google TV streamer box, but that's more expensive and it's newer and better. But certainly with like the first Chromecast with Google TV, like there were a lot of complaints about performance, and especially like app storage. Like you just have to constantly uninstall and reinstall apps because they're Android apps, and there's like 8 gigs of storage, 4 or 8. I'm not sure which it was. So that's something Amazon struggled with, and there's been reporting about them building a different TV OS that would presumably not have that problem, and that is now official. So they showed off the Fire TV stick, I believe it's called the Fire TV 4K Select. I think that's the name. It is available for pre-order now. There's a link at the bottom of this press release. I'm sure it's also on Amazon's website if you search for it. But it is I think it is $40, and it is their first TV stick with Vega OS, which is their new Linux-based platform. All of the developer documentation is already up for this, so I was looking through that, and it appears to be like just web-based OS. Like a lot of the apps are going to be written in React Native. That's what all their examples were using. So it sounds very much like Roku, which is a very like stripped back operating system that has streaming apps and not much else. So based on the pictures on like the product page I was looking at in the videos, the appearance wise, it looks like the current Fire TV. It has the Alexa voice assistant. On the product page, they were showing some of the compatible streaming services, and it looked like all the ones I could think of were there, at Netflix and YouTube and HBO and Disney Plus and all those. So I don't think a normal person would really tell a difference or care all that much. But it does, Apple, let's see, the AFTV News had a good article about some of the differences. Oh, I think this is a different one. But they were pointing out that the side loading works differently. Like there's like something a little bit closer to how, like it's a little bit more restricted than Android's side loading. And of course, these don't run Android apps. It is an entirely different platform. And I'm guessing there will never be like VPN apps on here. Like you can get on current Fire sticks, or probably things like game emulators and that kind of stuff. We'll see. I mean, it is web-based. You can do a lot with the web now, but if those show up, it's going to be a while, and if they're allowed. So if you're the kind of person who's getting Fire TV hardware because you wanted to install random Android apps, don't get this. The one good news there is that I haven't seen anything that suggests that current Fire TV devices would be updated to this operating system. I wouldn't discount the possibility that they won't try that at some point, especially with like the really old and low end devices. Maybe if they get a lot of complaints from users, they're like, all right, just give them the thing that'll make the stick faster. We're tired of the complaining. But I don't know. That's, as of right now, there's not any evidence of that.
Amazon hasn't, to my recollection, had the best history with updating devices in the first place, so I'm not really convinced that they will go that route. I can't discount it. It's certainly possible, but it's not the company with the best reputation there, so I'm skeptical. But yeah, it certainly could happen. I think it comes down to the question of, do they want to try to drive sales for upgrades, or do they want to try to lock people into an ecosystem? And plus, I have a feeling they would technically maybe be crossing into false advertising violation if they were to switch the OS, because the previous ones, while they didn't advertise as being Android, everyone knew they were, but they weren't advertised that way. The fact of the matter is, it was still understood that they could install apps. And while the Amazon App Store is now defunct, strictly speaking, the ability to install apps was still technically an advertised part. And I think if they were to switch the OS, I don't know if that's still actually possible here. I'm sure technically apps are installable. I don't know what platform or SDK they're built on, but yeah, that seems like probably technically a thing that Amazon could get in trouble for, maybe.
Yeah, and I agree that like probably unlikely they would ever try that. really the point here moving is just that moving forward, they have a what appears to be an actual competitor to Roku, which I would argue they've never had practically. On paper, you can go to the store and there will be a Fire Stick for around the same price as a Roku stick, but one of them will be very not good. And of course, granted, the Roku stick also has like annoying ads on it and other things I don't like. But
so just like Amazon,
right? Yeah, like if your goal is like, least bad option, it's the Roku. The Roku is the Democratic Party, is what I'm saying. So it's yeah. So we'll see what else they release with this OS. I'm curious what the initial reviews would say. It is interesting that in the blog post they were talking about how it delivers vibrant 4K picture quality with HDR10 plus support and apps that launch remarkably fast, which is PR speak for this one isn't slow, guys. We promise.
yeah.
We know they were slow.
Yeah, I don't expect this to be good, but who knows? Maybe within the confines of what the existing user base expects, maybe it will be good. I don't think we can really know, and obviously that also depends on were you a user because these were cheap and you could put apps on there, or were you a user of these the way that they're intended to be, in which case I don't think you're gonna care.
Yeah, like you might not even notice, honestly. Like it looks like this OS is pretty close visually to Fire TV, and if they have all the same streaming services, it should be fine. But I'm sure there's going to be stuff that's missing, or like some catches that we'll find out in 3 months. But
well, I fully expect that one of the things missing is going to literally be that some of the streaming services were probably in existence as native apps, and now they're almost certainly just going to be web apps.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. I don't know, but it seems likely. So yeah, this is it. It remains to be seen if this is dumb or a smart move. Maybe reviewers will end up liking these, not loving them, I'm sure, but at least liking them, and maybe users will just generally be happy. But in all my years, I think the one thing I've come away learning is users are never happy. So yeah, this ought to be entertaining, if nothing else. I look forward to reading some sort of review on this.
Yeah.
But on to other things that companies did that were just kind of possibly dumb and stupid and risky. Apple is apparently going to not kill, but they're shelving their Vision Pro, the lightweight Vision Pro that they were developing, which apparently was going to be called the Vision Air. And they're going to refocus on the AI glasses that they were building, with the expectation to release, I believe, in 2028. 2027. And this is in an effort to compete with Meta / Facebook on developing glasses that are just AI powered, and I guess you could say normal in the world glasses as opposed to wearing a giant headset on your head.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. The glasses are another product category where I like the idea of them, as you said, with Google Glass, like having like Google Maps HUD on your face is cool. That's a cool idea. That's something I would theoretically like, but I'm not convinced that like we have anything close to what's required to make that a good experience yet. Like if Apple makes this in the next couple of years, it's going to be like all the other ones, which is like glasses that look stupid, or glasses that have something hanging somewhere because the battery and other guts maybe need to be outside the glasses. So and then there's the kind of the thing that killed Google Glass initially, and it is creating backlash against the Ray-Bans, which is the camera recording functionality. And like, I will say personally, I would not like to be around someone who is wearing these glasses and maybe recording me. I know there's no functional difference between that and like someone nearby like holding up a phone to record me, but it does feel different. And I wouldn't, if it feels weird, someone doing that to me, then I shouldn't put others in that situation. I feel like that's just me though. So I'm not like super jazzed about this product category at this point. If Apple made one that like didn't have a camera on it or something, I don't know, but I feel like at that point there would be less of an interest in it, and it would make certain other features more difficult. It would depend on what it is, honestly, because the glasses could be Vision Pro, but not like a helmet, to more like what the Ray-Bans are, which is like little projection HUD thing.
Okay, so not that this is really ever going to happen, but what would you feel about a platform where video recording was blocked by the OS in whatever way is necessary? There could be different ways to implement that, and let's not get mired in the details of that. Just the basic concept is it has a camera. The camera serves certain specific functions. However, it cannot record. Just plain and simple, it cannot record. Do you think that solves the problem, or are people just gonna still be wigged out by camera?
I don't know. I don't know, honestly, because like my other thought is like, I know some of the glasses that have tried to implement this will add like a light, but you can cover that up.
Yeah, or even disable it.
Yeah, it's the same like issues that you have with AirTags, where they can be useful and they can be good in completely innocent ways, and then they can be used for a lot of scary things. And I don't know, the camera glasses just, it gives me the ick. I'll fully admit it's not like the most logical, but it gives me the ick. Especially when I keep seeing ICE agents wearing the meta ones, which is very cool. And I'm a little bit surprised that Ray-Ban isn't like distancing themselves after that, but
I don't think they can. Literally, I just don't think they have a way to do that. By the way, I love Austin's suggestion of the camera can only output AI generated video.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It runs all video through like the 2008 Instagram filter, so you can't actually really see anything.
That almost seems plausible. So yeah, overall, I think wow, I wanted this to be a quick one, but now I find too many avenues to discuss. So first off, I guess competitively, I think Apple is kind of making some interesting mistakes here, but also maybe sort of acknowledging how much the Vision Pro was a failure. Because if they're not trying to re-update the Vision line, let's say, if they're switching their focus to glasses, at least for right now, it kind of seems to mean that they really think that's where they need to be, rather than working on the Vision Pro or a Vision Pro lightweight version. So, yeah, that screams that they don't have a lot of faith in that particular product line. Also, and this is literally the only thought I came into this conversation wanting to get out. If anyone should be unhappy about this news, it is current Vision Pro owners. Vision Pro owners should be furious at this.
Because it's so funny that the Vision Pro or a Vision Pro 2 or whatever is probably won't happen in the next year or two, at least. The Vision Pro started out as underpowered. Like, that's why it didn't get... It took a while to get some of the Apple Intelligence stuff, because it has an M1 chip in it, I think. And they stretched that to the limit to get all of the, crazy high-resolution display and other 3D tracking stuff working. So that's already kind of underpowered from a hardware side, not even touching the software. That's like... just does not have enough apps, and that entire ecosystem did not develop as I'm sure Apple hoped. So it needs there kind of needs to be a more powerful model, but far more importantly, a more accessible model and a lot of apps. And it seems like none of those will materialize anytime soon.
Okay, so a couple of quick points. First, the Vision Pro, it's not an M1 chip, it's 2 M2 chips. So it was not... I mean, it's debatable if you want to call it underpowered. Because in some ways it was a bit underpowered for what they were trying to do, the breadth of what they were trying to do with it. But the breadth of what they were trying to do with it was far, far bigger than what
certainly not the most pressing issue.
Yeah, and performance by most accounts has been, at least from what I've heard, is fine. So I don't think that's the crucial issue. I think the crucial issue, and this is why I think that current Vision Pro owners should be angry. Consider it this way. Right now, the biggest complaint everybody has about the Vision Pro is basically there's no useful apps. Like, there are the few things that Apple created, which are there. It's basically an iPad with some widgets you can place around and things. And it has a couple of Vision Pro specific features, like watching fully immersive movies or whatever. So yeah, it has a few things, but for the most part, there's nothing that really justifies getting it. Okay, now consider you're a developer. Imagine being a developer and you hear Apple is going to not make another Vision Pro product for at least a few more years. Are you going to sit there and think, oh, I know what I should do now. I should build a Vision Pro app? No. Literally no developer is thinking that. If any developer that was working on something for the Vision Pro just categorically said, oh, screw this. This is a dead platform. Or at the very least, I'm just going to commit all the stuff that I have done, and I'm going to leave that alone for the next 2 to 3 years. If Apple is going to come back and start actually touching this product line again, I can come back to this code. But in the meantime, screw this noise. I'm going to go make another iOS app. Like, that's what's going to happen. There is no chance at all, zero chance, that any developer is going to consider this an important platform going forward, which that is dooming every current Vision Pro owner to basically what you have today is as much as you're probably ever going to have, at least for that device. Because there will, logically speaking, if they're going to completely pause the Vision Air and the glasses that were set for 2027 release are now being the priority, and the Vision Air is presumably shelved until after the glasses are done, I feel like it's a safe enough assumption that there won't be new glasses until probably 2027 at the earliest, maybe 2028. That is a long time. That is a long product cycle for any Apple product. The Mac Pro, at its worst, I think actually got upgrades in less time than this. I know that's not actually true. There was like a 5-year stretch or something where the Mac Pro was stuck on the same model, but still, this is really bad for current Vision Pro owners. They should, at this stage, they have an abandoned product. It, again, maybe Apple comes back and starts updating the product line again, but it's not happening for a while. Anyone who has this, just, I'm sorry. It sucks to be you.
Yeah, it's just like there's definitely not a lot of people buying new Vision Pros in the last year. So that is not a growth market. That is a shrinking market of people who have this system.
If anything, I imagine there are probably people still trying to sell theirs off.
Yeah, actually, that's a great idea. Let me check.
Yeah,
eBay.
Check eBay and Swappa and be like,
Swappa also shows that. I was thinking like I need to look at recent sales and not open listings, but Swappa does tell you recent sales. Okay. Swappa for Vision Pro starting at $18.80. Recent sales. Okay, there is some activity. 2 sold on the 29th, 2 sold on the 28th, 2 sold on the 27th. 26 had 2. The 24th, 18, 16. Okay, so in the month of September, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 Vision Pros sold on Swappa in the month of September.
That's more than I expected. Okay, Carson's correcting me. He says it's not 2 M2 chips, it's 1 M2 chip and 1 R1 chip.
Okay.
Weird. I remember their presentation saying that they had two of the same chip. But okay. I won't dispute it. And who knows, Apple presentations are often not entirely truthful. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't see a future for this line if they're not going to have either a low-cost version or a Vision Pro 2. Either one. There has to be something in the near future. Otherwise, this is just a completely dead product. That being said, I think it's really interesting that Apple is trying to be a distant replacement for Meta's glasses. I mean, they already missed the boat on VR AR glasses, or the goggles. Now they're gonna try to be the late to market version of Meta's glasses, and I'm not sure why. I mean, that I think is, yes, probably the ultimate product that they want to be shipping, so I get it from that perspective, but they're already going to be really late to market. They still don't have a good AI plan.
It's going to be so funny when Apple is late to an AR market for the second time and makes an overpriced thing that no one buys.
Yeah.
It will be the Morbius of Apple products. This
Kind
will
of,
be
yeah.
exactly like when everyone was like, Sony, we were busy that weekend. Please bring back Morbius. And they did. And it lost even more money. It will be great.
Yeah, this just screams bad decision in so many ways, because unless they were going to have like a fantastic AI story, which you but unless they've got a just magical story for how AI is going to suddenly be something they're good at, or that their input method is somehow going to be again magical and unorthodox and somehow solving problems no one knew they had, I just don't see how this is going to change anything. And which kind of gets into the other subject, which I probably should have hit before switching to this, but it seems like Apple is, I mean, as far as the VR AR side of things, it seems like they're basically ceding the market to Google and Samsung. Obviously, with Facebook being in the lead, but Google and Samsung are going to have their product out in 2026. Like, that's a given. I suppose it could still happen this year, but I think at this stage we're probably not expecting that. Um, but yeah, Google is gonna have to have something out this coming year, so they're definitely gonna beat Apple to market. Essentially, like Apple's second product is not going to be to market anytime before Google's, so Google is in a better position. Just officially, like Apple's handing that fight over to them. They're not going to be there for it. Meanwhile, I I think most people kind of expect Google would also be more effective in the glasses fight, because that's something everyone actually knows they're working on. They've been working on it. So is Google going to end up just completely eating all of Apple's lunch on this? It sort of feels like that's what's like destined to happen. And I don't know, maybe not, but this is looking like Apple is just setting themselves up for the double failure. It, like, just like you said, it's going to be the Morbius re-release.
Which again, like, this isn't hard. Like,
well, it is.
Apple.
It is
Apple's
hard.
already very good at economies of scale. Like, they have a iPad that's like $300. That's better than like every Android tablet in that massive price range. They could make a Meta Quest competitor if they really wanted to, but they don't really want to, and also they don't know how to like work with game studios, which you would need to do, because the pitch for the Vision Pro was a very specific iPad on your head and not a Beat Saber VR chat machine. And it seems like the computer on your head didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like the market for that, it does exist. I know people have tried it, and it's cool, and it's an interesting alternative to like bringing a laptop with you everywhere and working on a laptop screen. Not a sizable market in comparison to VR, which itself is still a pretty small market in the general sense. So
Yeah, I honestly, I've seen Apple make some bad decisions. They made a mouse you have to turn upside down to charge. This I genuinely think has to be the worst decision I've ever personally been aware of Apple making. It is so catastrophically dooming them to basically blowing up their position in one market. Not that it was a good position. Look, the Vision Pro did not perform well in the market. Everybody knows this. There's no mystery there. But at least they got into the market before Google did. There's at least potential for them to revise it, try to start a few things from scratch, try to finish some projects, get more done. They had that time, and if they squander it right here, I'm sorry, but you're just giving up the market. And okay, you can do that. Multi-trillion-dollar company, you've got this option. But oh boy, talk about wasting R&D. Oh my god, wasting so much R&D. So yeah, I'm not going to tell anyone how to invest, but I feel like at some point this is probably going to lead to Apple seeing like a few points just falling right off their stock price when somebody writes the correct editorial, basically calling out, hey, remember when Apple tried this and screwed it up, and then they followed up with these glasses and they screwed those up too. This is the new Apple, they can't get stuff right. That editorial is coming. I can predict it now. And whenever that happens, whenever somebody big enough with enough of a following writes that, just watch Apple stock price like tick down like 4 points. It's gonna happen. And man, I would want to short that. I would want to short the stock ahead of that. So yeah. Anyway, I don't. Do you have any other thoughts on this? I think I've.
No, I'm just that I would like them to try, affordable VR stuff, because I know they can do it. They're just like, this is one of those things that Apple is just too dysfunctional to do. This is like Google with tablets. It's like, they all have like one thing that they just cannot do. And for Apple, it is apparently like any kind of headset, augmented reality thing. For Google, it is tablets. For Microsoft, it is selling consoles. We'll get to that in a minute, but it's just not going to happen. That's okay. My hope, unfortunately, is in Google for a Meta Quest replacement.
I'm going to add, in addition to face worn stuff, Apple also cannot do AI. They pretty much conclusively proven.
I wish they stopped trying.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, Apple is late on AI, and I'm like, I wish they did not try this. Instead of rolling out the thing that makes everyone's notifications like lie about what's going on in their group chats in summaries. For Microsoft, it's phones. Yeah, Carson, that's true. Microsoft also could not sell phones. Well, past a certain year.
Yeah.
They were doing well when all the other options were also shitty.
So let's see. The next up is okay, this is another quick hit. This, by the way, our entire stream, or our entire set of topics today is literally just about companies completely screwing up in some way, shape, or form. So in case anyone's looking for the positive story, it's not coming. The only happy thing is us making fun of the companies. So
yep.
Sorry, it's one of those weeks.
This next one is very funny for us to talk about as two white dudes, but it is funny. So YouTube and Univision were having a carriage dispute, or YouTube TV and Univision. I don't know if I said TV. And it resulted in the contract expiring and all of Univision's channels being removed from YouTube TV. And if you don't know, Univision is mostly or entirely Spanish-speaking content. I'm not sure if it's entirely. I know here on my local TV networks, there's a funny thing where there is a Univision channel, and then all of these sub channels under it are just like random, like other English speaking channels. So I know I have to like turn I have to set up my antenna to be pointing correctly at their tower to get like channels that are not Univision. But they had a dispute, and there was a really funny message on their website where this was not about the current dispute, but it was a past one where they said Google's YouTube TV plans to remove Univision from its basic bundle on September 30th will force Hispanics to pay another $15 a month and 18% quote unquote Hispanic tax to access Univision. We're fighting to protect fair access and content Hispanic audiences depend on. Which is just funny.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of very silly, like, carriage disputes are so funny because ultimately it is like two mega corporations, especially in modern times. I know in decades past, like, local TV channels were like different, but in modern times it is always like these massive companies just like having a full public bitch fight and telling the TV network is always like, oh, the cable provider is being so unfair, and the cable provider is like, no, they're being unfair, and they both have like big call the other person phone number to like harass their customer support staff so that their channel. It's just it's really funny. This is like ultimate like middle school playground stuff, but it is with giant teams of PR people and lawyers. So they're always funny. I've never seen one of them play the race card before though, which makes this much funnier.
Yeah, specifically playing the race card is just the pinnacle of basically just being terrible. Google is racist for not carrying Univision. Yeah. So and it's I know technically Google's being accused of being racist, but in this instance, I'm sorry, I kind of have to look at Univision and say, guys, playing the race card this way is kind of like telling on yourself. You're kind of just admitting that you're being greedy and terrible. And
we actually know YouTube TV is equal opportunity about its carriage disputes because this happens like once every 2 months with some channel provider. So they are being discriminatory towards everyone, actually.
Yeah, YouTube TV has had more carriage fights than I think anyone except maybe Dish. And I'm not even sure about that. I think YouTube TV probably is long past what Dish has ever done. YouTube is just constantly in fights with somebody. They're always renegotiating some deal, and it's always like, sorry, we're raising the prices, or yeah, we can't agree on anything with this group, so they're just not going to be on YouTube TV for the next month or 2 months or whatever. And then most of it gets sorted, but not all of it. And yeah, I
feel like with TV, they have a lot of them, but they're resolved relatively quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's like I've seen definitely more than a few articles of like these parties have not reached an agreement, so the channels will go up by this date, and then 5 hours before the deadline they fix it. Whereas I think like Dish and the other legacy ones, they have fewer of them, but they last for much longer. Like I'll hear about one, and then like a year later I'll read an article that's like, oh yeah, these guys still don't have ABC, and it's been like a year and a half.
Yeah.
It's always it's just really entertaining. It is just like a middle school playground bullying, but throughout the fabric of corporate America, and it's great.
Yeah. And Carson, that is kind of exactly it. When it came to a lot of the cable networks, their method of paying for most of this, or the channels that did not perform as well, which, by the way, that's what Google was very clear about. To quote their way of framing it, unfortunately, Univision's current demands aren't supported by their performance on YouTube TV over the last 4 years, and despite our best efforts, we've been unable to reach a fair deal. So blah blah blah, but basically the point is, yeah, there just aren't enough people watching it, therefore, it's hard to justify paying them out an outsized portion of the money. At least, we don't know what the shares are. We don't know how many people are watching. We don't have the stats. But if we interpret what Google's saying and take them at their word that they're not misleading with this, basically just means that, yeah, there's maybe 5% of the audience is watching Univision, and they're asking for 8% of the profit. And if that's the case, yeah, you kind of have to either throw the deal back at them or end it. But if this were traditional cable networks, 9 times out of 10, they basically have already told the major networks, yo, you're just going to subsidize some of the small guys. Like, that's just how it's going to be. And this is necessary because every cable network is doing this. And most of the cable networks own a monopoly in their specific markets. So they have the ability to negotiate that way. YouTube TV does not have a monopoly anywhere. And so that's the deal. They just don't have that negotiating tool in order to be able to subsidize someone like Univision or any of the other smaller providers. So yeah, this is just a reality of the business. YouTube TV basically has to hold a more fair balance and distribution of the money, because they don't have a leverage point where they can just force someone to take X amount of money. And ironically, it's resulted in YouTube TV being more expensive than cable in many cases, and offer sometimes less than what cable does. So yeah, it's weird how cable is turning out to be the not as terrible thing in some cases.
Yeah, this is something that I want to eventually write about, but it would take a while to become coherent. Is I don't think streaming TV, and there's a lot of discussion about how the internet is worse than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago, and streaming services are worse, and the streaming TV providers are worse. And it's I don't know if it's that as much as they're just that's just the option now. That's the mainstream one. You know what I mean? It got worse because everyone moved to that. So the business shifted. So the example that's, most prevalent to me is 20 years ago, all the websites for major news organizations were great. You go to the BBC's website, you go to the New York Times, whatever, all super clean, fast layouts. Now, not really any paywalls sometimes, but usually not. But all of them crept up with more and more ads and more paywalls, because they can't pay for that with paper newspapers anymore, because that went away. So now this is the main thing. So it's going to get worse, because that's where the business is now, So it's a fun thing that is always happening. It's everything, animals keep evolving into crabs. We just keep coming back to cable, because that's just how this works always. Yeah, so there was this quick thing from, I guess, Opera you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, this is again super mega quick. Yeah, Opera did another stupid thing because of course it did. I mean it's Opera, so this is expected. But they finally have rolled out their AI browser Neon. Um, and I don't even know what it's supposed to do. Basically, like it is supposed to be an agentic browser. Presumably, it can do things for you if you give it commands. Um, I I don't I haven't even looked at like I don't know if there's a demo of it doing this. I assume there must be. I haven't even looked at those yet. I just read that it's basically supposed to be able to do things for you if you ask it to let's say book tickets for an event, or I don't know, make up whatever example you like. Presumably it's supposed to be able to sort of do that stuff. And yeah, so the crazy thing is they're charging $19.90 per month to use a browser. And I get it.
Right.
It
A browser
can't be free.
that, yeah. A browser that will like try to like do online grocery shopping and buy things for you, but will inevitably fail and cost you a lot of time and money in the process.
Yeah.
But I think you get what you deserve if you give Opera money.
Pretty much at this point. So yeah, I don't even really have a big comment here. It's just to raise attention for the fact that they're gonna charge $20 a month to use a web browser, and not even a good web browser. Anyone who's used Opera in anything resembling recent history, you know it's a pretty mediocre browser as it is. And here they're just they're shoving this AI nonsense into it, which maybe someday it'll work, maybe it'll someday do what it claims it's going to do, but by then is Chrome not going to already have those features, and probably
Google
much
is
better?
working on exactly this for Chrome.
Yeah.
Which, granted, I think that's also going to fail and fall apart, which will be very funny.
I mean, at least I think Google has a chance of doing it not right, but better. And also, I think Google's going to charge not technically less than $20 a month, but rather I think they'll bundle it into the Google One subscription so that you just sort of get all of their AI stuff, including that, all in one package, whereas with Opera's thing, you're literally just paying for their AI browser. So, yeah.
I do think, like, there is a future where I would pay for a web browser just because all of the mainstream ones are becoming insufferable. But it would not be for AI features, almost certainly, and it would not be Opera.
Yeah, it will not be Opera would actually be my number one criteria there.
It was Firefox for me. I had Firefox on the month, or Mozilla on the monthly donation. I'm like, thanks guys. And then they like kept wasting my $5 on now they're dumping millions of dollars into AI stuff that I don't want or care about. So which is unfortunate. I'd like them to not do that, but that's okay. So I'm freeloading on Firefox for the time being.
Yeah. Okay, so
speaking of spending a lot of money,
yes,
there was a very funny. Actually, I'm gonna click that link in the Verge article to go to their blog post. So, Microsoft is overhauling Game Pass again. They promoted this as like upgrades, like they're adding more features and games and stuff, which is true, but they're also raising the prices significantly. So I believe it's oh man, they're gonna make me scroll.
Well, am I mistaken? I believe they're only raising the price on Ultimate. I think
Yes,
I
that's
think the other two are the same price as they were before, though technically they're also changing what those plans include. But yeah, I think it was already 10, 15, and $20 a month for the three different plans. And then now the ultimate has been raised from 20 to now 30.
okay. No, it's so Game Pass Core, which was Xbox Gold Live, like just the one you get so you can play multiplayer. That is now Xbox Game Pass Essential, and it is still $10 a month and has more games in it. But again, some people, you might just want to have the thing for online. You don't actually want to pay for games you're not going to play. The Xbox Game Pass, which is the one you buy for your console, is also staying at $15 a month. The PC one is increasing from $12 a month to $16.50 a month, so 40%. And then Game Pass Ultimate, which is the one where you get, or I guess you get game streaming on all of them now. But
Yeah,
Game Pass Ultimate is mainly for, you can play games on both an Xbox and a PC. That is jumping from $20 a month to $30 a month. So quite the increase.
well, and unless I'm mistaken, and this is part of what also sucks about this thing, is it's a little bit messy, but unless I'm mistaken, previously it was one Game Pass was for console, one was for PC. Now all three of these plans are for combined PC and console, with cloud also being an option if you want to use that. So you're not locked into like get one plan for console if you have a console, and then if you have console and PC, then you have to get ultimate, otherwise like the other things are just more expensive separately. So you want to get the big one. Like there's still a PC tier. It also went up.
Yeah, that's the one at the bottom of this Verge article, the PC Game Pass. So there is still PC Game Pass and separately Xbox Game Pass, and then Game Pass Ultimate is, I believe, just the one that's PC, console, and cloud. So, or all, yeah, and then okay. So the Game Pass Premium is also PC, cloud, and console. Jesus. Okay. Yeah, they gotta stop renaming this first of all. I've lost track of this now.
I hate this.
Let's go to the Game Pass website and see how. Let me look at the big table. I know if I go to their website, they're gonna have a big table. Yes, here's the big table. Yeah, so there is the Essential, which used to be Xbox Gold Live, and then Premium, and then Ultimate, and all of those have games for Xbox consoles and PCs, and streaming games. So it's the usual thing where, if you have a subscription service, you can either raise prices just for no reason because you want to, or whatever, you need to, but you don't have a justification for it besides price go up. And then there's this where they're adding a lot of features while also raising the price, so then they can be like, well, you're getting so much more for your money, which is the thing like Amazon has become incredible at, where the price of Amazon Prime has slowly gone up and up and up. But because there's so much stuff in it, that's what they can point to every time. They're like, oh yeah, it costs like $130 a year now, but look at all this stuff that's in here. And
And
for
no
some
one
people.
uses hardly
Right.
any of it.
Most people do not use most of it. There are situations where it does make sense. I'm not discounting that, but like this is how this works now. Is also for like phone plans. Like every time I look at the unlimited phone plans at the major carriers, they're doing the same thing too, where they're like, it is $100 a month for your phone to have phone service, but there are 50 subscriptions in here. We bundle, so you get them, a lot of value, and it's like I only want you for cell data. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're trying to give me all this other stuff. And I know it's because like it's a lot more profitable, and it's cheaper for T-Mobile to like hammer out a deal to have Netflix in there for a discounted rate and like keep raising prices on their end. But it's a lot. So yeah, I'm not a fan of this. The end goal here is like if you want the real Game Pass that has like the intended purpose of Game Pass, which was a lot of games, and you get the new games on day one, you are paying $30 a month for that now. And if you only want online multiplayer, you have to pay $10 a month and also get 50 games or 50 plus games, it says, that you may or may not want. And then there's that weird one in the middle that is like probably only exists as an upsell. Yeah, it's not good. And this is after prices on Xbox consoles just went up. I don't know where they're at now. It is Xbox console pricing updates announced September 19th. Does it have the make me open a PDF? Yeah, the cheapest Xbox Series S is now $400. The cheapest Xbox Series X, which is the one without a disk drive, is $600, and the one with the disk drive is $650. And unlike a PS5, you can't buy the one without a disc and add a disc later if you want. It doesn't work like that. So it's not good. I had Game Pass. I bought it in bulk for like 2 years, and at the end of that, I didn't sign up again because I just wasn't playing the new games enough. It was really great for playing all of the older games that I never got around to without buying all of them individually, but I didn't really care for the new releases all that much, so I did not stay subscribed. And this is a lot. The math is increasingly not mathing on these tiers. You probably have to be playing a decent amount of the newer games to get your money out of this, especially in terms of you're not keeping any of the games. So if let's say, for example, how much is the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle? That's $70 probably. It is $70 on sale right now. It's $56 on Steam, but $70. So if you have Game Pass and you're like, I'm just playing a bunch of indie games, and then I want to play Indiana Jones when it comes out. Imagining Indiana Jones comes out later because that came out when it was at a different price. But insert $70 game here. It's more it's a better deal to just buy the $70 game, which is equivalent to slightly over 2 months of the ultimate tier, and then just buy the indies when you want, because those are usually affordable and on sale a lot, and then you own those games. So unless you're like really maxing this out and you're playing a lot of games that would otherwise be $40, $50, $60, $70, or again, there's cases where like I believe you can still, if you log in on an Xbox console and you have Game Pass and other people log in on the same console, I believe they can still access your Game Pass. So there are scenarios where if you're in a family household or you got roommates and you're all using the Xbox and you're just splitting that across a bunch of people, that probably works out. But there's an increasingly shorter number of scenarios where this works out.
Yeah, it's like I said in Discord. There are still specific cases where you can point to, and where this is still a good deal. If it's the classic. If you've got kids and don't want to deal with them constantly asking for the new game, this and assuming they're going to go through quite a few of those every year, this is still worth it. If you're a game streamer on Twitch and you want to just cycle through games, like if you routinely do like 6 to 12 hours a day on Twitch, hopefully the 12 hours a day is exaggerating, but it isn't for some. You're going to go through a lot of games. So sure, at that point, still worth it. But man, there's certainly, like, it used to be that any average person could just make a valid argument saying, you know what, I don't play a lot of games, but I'd like to have basically a full rental store in availability. Like, I just want to be able to look through a giant list and pick a new thing every few days whenever I've got a little bit of time. I'll install it, try it. If I like it, I'll play through it. If I don't, oh well. I'll move to the next. That used to be a pretty valid position. And it's not that $30 is a absolute deal breaker for some people, but I think the list of people who are open to paying $30 a month for this, it is shrinking, because we've seen this happening everywhere. Every streaming network has gone up in price. Every subscription, every service, it's all going. Can you even stay in a hot tub for 12 hours? Austin, that is a phenomenal question, for which the answer I happen to know is yes, but you're not supposed to. It's medically a bad idea.
It's really a medically bad idea to go in any hot tub. That's where you get a lot of waterborne, viruses that like to live in there, and those nice warm temperatures where the pool is never drained.
I mean, if you never clean it, then that if you never clean,
which is most hot tubs,
take the context away from hot tub and put it in almost anything, and just say, right, if you never clean it, it's a bad idea. There's a lot of things that are really bad for you if you never clean them. Remember, kids, take showers. Anyway, yeah, look, this is just one of those, another one of those things where we're seeing the prices of everything going up, and inherently, because the prices are going up, people are going to be looking at a lot of these subscriptions and saying, you know what, I don't need this one, I don't need this one, I don't need this one. And as a sort of continual result, these subscription prices then have to go up even more to compensate for how few people are still going to be paying them. They are, on a long enough timeline, they would have to become like $100 subscriptions in order for them to still be worth existing. And I think Microsoft is barreling towards that point. You think you might just switch to GeForce Now? Not the worst idea.
I mean, GeForce Now, like, it's a different value argument because you have to buy the game separately. But like,
plus you're paying for the streaming.
Yeah, but it's like, compared to the cost of trying to buy a GPU right now, or in my case, like, if I didn't have my gaming PC right now, that's probably what I would be doing for games I don't want on console, because Mac doesn't have games. So, that's a good option for, different market segment and some overlap, but it works out. That's at least I think a better argument at this point than Game Pass. Game Pass is just turning into this very weird, bloated product that I don't quite understand. And especially again, this combined with Xbox consoles not selling well and the prices on them going up, and also Microsoft canceling a lot of the games it was working on. It's just like this entire, like, I don't understand what the intention is here. Except we are getting out of this market and we will squeeze what we have left dry. That's which, like, I don't think that's the case, because this is also a product for PC, which like Microsoft could do absolutely nothing and PC gaming is fine for the next decade at least.
Well, Steam is doing all the hard work.
Right. So I don't know. This is very bizarre, and I think like pretty much all of the arguments for buying an Xbox console have evaporated, which is a shame because there's parts of them that I do like. Like when I just, you know, sold my Series X to get a PS5, but when I had it, I liked the quick resume and the backwards compatibility was nice to have, and a couple other things. But like I'm just watching the prices go up and up, and not the hardware being an open question, and Game Pass still being not the best experience on PC, because even after all this time, you're still interacting with it through the Microsoft Store or Xbox app, both of which are not good. Not that Steam is perfect either, but Steam is a lot better. So I don't know, just truly bizarre, and a shame for anyone who likes these services, who would have to spend more money to keep them.
So
good reminder that I believe you still get a slight discount on games that are on Game Pass while you're a subscriber. So if your subscription is about to lapse, buy the games you want to keep and put the rest in your wish list to get an email when they go on sale. And then, you know, just buy as you need.
Yeah. So I feel inclined.
This doesn't help you if you want to use the cloud.
Yeah. I feel inclined to call out one just regarding hardware. I still think Microsoft did a massive disservice by making the Series S at all, because holy crap, did they screw up their entire market with that. But that's a separate subject. Anyway, the one thing that I think when people simmer down a little bit about this topic, the one thing that I think is going to make this all feel a little bit more reasonable, I'm not saying completely reasonable, just more reasonable, is that we've already seen with Nintendo, they are raising the prices on games. And everybody knows the prices of games are going to be going up. Obviously, old existing games, not as big of an issue. They're probably not really going to change in price. But a lot of new releases that are coming up in the future are just going to be coming out at like 70 or 80 bucks. Like, that's just going to be a thing soon. By that math, you still have to go through quite a few games in order to justify Game Pass, or at least Game Pass Ultimate. So it's still not a great deal, but I think if we accept that all the games that are going to be coming out are probably going to be about $10 more expensive, it's still potentially a close balance of what you would get out of Ultimate in, say, a year versus what you would have gotten out of it, say, a year ago. Like those 2 points in time are basically going to be about the same number of games are going to come out of it for not the same price, but like the same number of games would be necessary in order to match the price. Like if you had bought them versus playing them through the subscription. And I doubt it's going to work out to a perfect 1-to-1. I don't think it's going to be a perfect match, but it's going to be close enough. So, is this still a bad deal? Absolutely, of course it is. Everybody knows it's a bad deal. But it might not be technically as bad as it sounds today, once you factor everything in. Though I don't think we need to factor everything in. That's just the catch, is we don't need to. I think we're just approaching the point where Microsoft, I don't think, is leaving this industry. I think they're going to keep making consoles. I just don't think it's something that people are going to benefit as much from being a Microsoft loyalist or Xbox loyalist. I think they're probably just setting themselves up to sort of give the market over to Sony. Whether that's how they see it or not, I think that's probably what's sort of destined to happen.
Yeah, which isn't great because they're kind of the only competitor in the mainstream.
I mean, there's
still
Nintendo.
Nintendo is off in the corner. Like, they're not quite a competitor in the same way. Like, there's a lot of games that are only on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and they can't go on the Switch for one reason or another.
Yeah,
I don't like
that
market
share, or Nintendo just being a bottleneck.
Yeah, and I don't like that segment shrinking to one player, but Microsoft doesn't seem to have their heart in it, so I don't know. Which is weird after spending billions and billions of dollars on game studios and publishers, but
right, but they do only buy the ones who ship to both console and PC. I don't think they bought anybody that was just a console only studio. I could be wrong. But that being the case, maybe they really are just leaning into the idea that Windows, like, everyone should just be gaming on a PC. And I'm not sure I would even disagree with that sentiment. But I don't think Microsoft would be the right company to be leaning into that strategy. So yeah, I can't read their mind, and I'm not sure that anybody would want to, because it seems poisoned by something. But hey, they've also been screwing up everything about Game Pass for the last 2 years, so I don't even remember what the details were, but I remember we talked about it just like 6 months or so ago, maybe a bit more. There was some other thing about Game Pass that they screwed up, and here we are again. And I think it's only going to be another 9 months, a year, something like that, before we're talking about the next thing that they screw up with Game Pass. All the reasons, it's just always going to be another set of reasons why people probably are going to leave in a large batch. There will still be a lot of people that stick around, but at a certain point, they're going to shrink further too. So,
yeah.
So
yeah, staying on the topic of Microsoft confounding me. I won't spend a ton of time here. Just that I saw this and I could not put into words for the article I was supposed to write how this made me feel. So yesterday, Microsoft announced a new agent mode that is rolling out to Excel and I think Word. Yeah, it's both of those. And Word and Excel already have a Copilot sidebar thing where you can ask questions and get it to do stuff for you in the document. So if you're working on a presentation and you're like, can you change this to a bar graph, or add info to this sheet based on this other document, it will do that. So there, Microsoft is working on an updated version. The one in Word, I think, is just they say some examples like, one thing you might type into the one for Word is update the executive summary for clarity, bold all key findings, and insert a bulleted list of next steps based on the project update meeting. Make sure to add a conclusion. So kind of just the same thing, but like supposedly more automated. Like it will, do the generative AI reasoning thing where it like, runs in a loop until it's pretty sure it has the right answer. The one in Excel is supposed to also be able to modify the document and like insert graphs and stuff. And the one in Excel notably is powered by Anthropic models, which is I think they've been testing it. I think this is the first time it's in one of the Office apps instead of the OpenAI based models that Copilot normally uses. So this one, they wrote this blog post about it, and I got to this bar graph, and I was like, why? So there's a graph in here where they show the accuracy results for their various AI models. And this is using a benchmark I had not heard of called Spreadsheet Bench. And it is just a test for AI models to complete tasks with a spreadsheet. So kind of just, some AI benchmarks are all kind of weird and not really reliable because these are not like products that perform consistently. But it's like the closest we have, right? So they include a bar graph of the performance of Copilot in Excel agent mode next to a human. I don't know how, I guess it would depend on the human. But in the human here, they have an accuracy of 71.3%. So they did 71.3% of the total spreadsheet tasks successfully. And then below, the next one below that in this graph is Copilot in Excel agent mode at 57.2%. So that is 43% of the time Excel fucks up with their most advanced agent mode that is supposed to be, in the paragraph above this chart, they say these breakthroughs allow agent mode to not only generate outputs, but also evaluate fixes, fix issues, and repeat the process until the outcome is verified. It's like you're handing off work to an Excel expert while you steer and guide. Is the Excel expert gonna fuck it up 43% of the time? That sounds insulting to Excel experts. Don't do them dirty like that. They know what they're doing.
I mean, in fairness, on a first attempt, maybe the Excel expert will get it wrong that
Right.
percent of the time, but they'll test it, realize their mistake, and then fix it and get it right the next time.
Because they have a brain that can process information.
Yeah.
And do actual reasoning, not AI reasoning, where it's just repeating the question to itself over and over. And then, further down this bar graph, they have some other competing AI models. And then at 20% accuracy, they have Copilot in Excel. So the normal like chat box thing that's in Excel, which is still the main interaction point for Copilot in Excel. Because you only get this agent mode if you're paying for the brand new Microsoft 365 premium subscription, which is $20 a month. If you have normal Microsoft 365 subscription, you only have access to the normal Copilot. 20% accuracy. And that's where I was staring at this and I felt like I was going crazy because here I am reading a Microsoft blog post talking about, by the way, the title of this blog post is Vibe working, introducing agent mode and Office Agent in Microsoft 365 Copilot. And then where it goes on to say, in the same way that vibe coding has transformed software development, the latest reasoning models in Copilot unlock agentic productivity for Office artifacts. 20% and 57.2%. In a blog post where you are glazing your new product, you are telling me that it fucks up 43% of the time, or if I don't pay $20 a month, 80% of the time. 80% of the tasks get fucked up. That's fireable. If that was a human, it'd be fired. And I'm looking at this like, why are you telling me to use your product based on this information? I'm astounded at the transparency to tell me your product is shit. And then in the surrounding text tell me it is the greatest invention ever in Excel. By the way, Excel being a calculator. If you had a calculator that was wrong 43% of the time, that's a bad calculator. You don't want to use that for anything. If you have a calculator that's wrong 80% of the time, that's really bad. But this is supposed to be the most incredible invention ever. And I was just staring at this like, I don't even know. It took me like 45 minutes to finish writing this article because I really could not. I still can't really explain like how astounding this is. Like I've read so many press releases and blog posts. I've never seen anything like a company describing its current products or marketing its current products in the same breath as saying they are broken most of the time. It's truly astounding.
So I don't really have a lot of, well, okay, actually I have one thought forming right now that I just think bears saying. Imagine being the person who has to go to your boss, maybe because your boss asked for this. Imagine being the person that has to go to your boss and say, hey, if we want to really save some money, we can use this thing. But just so you know, it's probably wrong 80% of the time. I want to see how a boss reacts to that, because I feel like a lot of them would say, sure, let's try it. And that's usually the moment that leads to them getting fired.
Right.
And I not gonna lie, I kind of like the sound of that. Anyway, but on a separate thought, have we ever considered that all those people who are predicting the date of the end of the world are using that calculator that is in fact wrong 80% of the time? That kind of, I think that might explain something.
That's a calculator they use to determine if Game Pass people will pay for it.
Yes. Oh boy, that, you know what? I think we're creating RambleCast lore right here. There is in fact a calculator somewhere in the world that people are using to calculate these things, and oh boy, is that calculator always wrong.
Yeah, I mean, people joked about this. I think it was a month or two ago when Microsoft added a Copilot function to Excel. So, like in your spreadsheets, you could have a cell that like takes input from somewhere else in the document and runs it through a Copilot prompt. And there are a lot of jokes about like, wow, finally I can, ask. I could have my math done incorrectly in Excel, because the assumption being that like you would be using it in a document of numbers, which I thought was like people being a little bit silly, because like, yeah, Excel's mostly for math calculations, but a lot of people use it for just like a table, like a big table.
Yeah, they use it for layouts, or they use it for sometimes just organizational stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've got like if you're using it for Bigtable, which is what I use it for some of the time, uh, then yeah, you might want parts of it that like you run through an AI to just like, I don't know, modify text input or do something else. Like there's a lot of non-math things in there. So I thought those complaints, like it was funny, but maybe not like entirely justified. But this is more like, what on earth am I learning? What have you guys done? I can't defend this.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this. It is pretty bad, and this is yet another one of those things. It leaves you just asking, did nobody think about this before they said ship it? And I mean, that's the only explanation, is literally no one thought about it before they said ship it. That, or maybe they actually have a customer base that's just clamoring for this so much, and like it doesn't matter how right or wrong it is, you just have a customer base that wants it anyway.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I like this table. I'm going to be thinking about this for a long time. If I can create coherent statements in a couple of days, maybe I'll try writing something more. But just like the latest and greatest tech and the company's own statement about how well it works tells me that one of them is wrong 80% of the time. Yeah, that's crazy. That's all I can say.
Yep. So shall we hit the last one?
Yeah.
I feel we could vlog the vibe working thing all day,
yeah.
but yeah,
And that was yeah, we can do this one really quickly, and then I was gonna mention a review I'm working on because
I forgot that was.
I need to go pick up groceries after this, but they're not ready yet, so I got time. So I didn't have a chance to fully read this, but F-Droid put out a statement about Google's upcoming developer rules, where the quick summary is future versions of Android will not install APKs unless they are attached to a registered Google developer account. And Google's reasoning being that it will severely crack down on malware and other issues like that. And they sort of address some of the complaints in that there won't be a fee attached, and supposedly the information of developers won't be listed publicly anywhere, which is an issue with the Play Store right now. That is why all of my apps in the Play Store are gone, because I don't want my address on the apps. It's already very easy to dox me, but I would not like to make it easier. And after I put out a statement or a long blog post, basically saying that this would break F-Droid. So they mention, in addition to demanding payment of a registration fee and attachment to their non-negotiable and ever-changing terms and conditions, which I'm not sure if there is a fee. I thought, or there's a fee, but like not for students or something.
You mean to be registered with the Play Store?
No, for the new signing thing.
Oh, there's no fee for that. Okay. But I believe you do have to be a registered Play Store developer. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but
yeah, I know they said something about the rules being different for just that. Like if you're not publishing in the Play Store, you don't maybe not have a pay fee. But
yeah,
anyway,
I don't recall for sure.
Yeah, but they said in addition to demanding payment and agreeing to their non-negotiable and ever-changing terms and conditions, Google will also require the uploading of personally identifying documents, including government ID, by authors of the software, as well as enumerating all of the unique application identifiers for every app that is to be distributed by the registered developer. The F-Droid project cannot require that developers register their apps through Google, but at the same time, we cannot take over the application identifiers for the open source apps we distribute, as that would effectively seize exclusive distribution rights to those applications. If it were to be put into effect, the developer registration decree will end the F-Droid project and other free open source app distribution sources as we know them today, and the world will be deprived of the safety and security and catalog of the thousands of apps that can be trusted with F-Droid. So they, go on to mention kind of the usual points about like sideloading should continue to work as is kind of important for a litany of reasons. Not least of which is just that it's your phone, so you should be able to install whatever you want on it, given whatever enough scary security warnings. So, and they mention a call to action for, contacting the EU's DMA team and stuff, but that won't help much in the US. So, again, I don't have a ton of insight here because I'm not an Android app developer, and I'm not fully up to date on everything Google said about their registration team or registration agreements. But I don't think F-Droid would be like, yeah, this will break our platform, unless they thought it did. Because I know F-Droid works right now, like they're kind of like Linux package repositories where like they are the ones packaging and distributing the apps. It's not like the developers give them the code and then I think F-Droid does the actual compiling.
Well, you say the developers give them the code. It, as I recall, isn't it all open source projects anyway?
Yeah.
So they're just pointing.
Yeah, like they give them like the Git whatever.
Yeah.
To the code.
Yeah, this certainly raises some basically how it's done today is incompatible with the new system. So that's a valid issue and certainly a concern. I don't know that there's a good answer. Obviously, I think there can't be a good answer. The one caveat is I'm pretty sure Google could, I believe, make an exception to this. Whether that should be the solution or not, I'm not going to say, but I'm pretty sure Google could basically like create an exception, assigning certificate or something like that would grant F-Droid the ability to continue publishing in this way. And maybe that would come with individually signed certificate. I don't know. I'm pretty sure there is a way to work around this if F-Droid and Google could sit down and basically hash it out. Or even if Google's developers just sat down and acknowledged, okay, here's a use case we didn't consider, let's figure it out. And while we didn't predict this, I do remember when we talked about this subject before, I'm pretty sure we specifically named F-Droid as like, this might be one of the services that really struggles because they're not going to have this kind of control. They don't have any way to mitigate or manage this sort of infrastructure and this sort of stuff. So yeah, I think
as F-Droid points out in this blog post, which like I always do every time the discussion about third-party app stores comes up, especially in the context of Apple, where every single time without fail, Apple is like, we cannot allow third-party app stores because they can host dangerous apps or apps with malware or stuff. And then right here, F-Droid is like, yeah, look at all these times the Play Store had malware.
Yeah.
Which is for and Apple and even things that are not malware that are harmful, like I don't know how many AR girlfriend apps are on the Apple App Store at this point, and like sports gambling and like name other thing that is like in a moral gray area. It's yeah. So I'd hope F-Droid and Google can figure something out, but like, unless someone forces them to, I don't think Google will.
No.
Which I'm sure is why F-Droid was asking that you go to the EU, because the EU has been better about that.
Well, and let's call spade a spade. While Apple is both able to and willing to force like different rules and policies given different geographical areas, very obviously, like if you are in the UK, you do have alternative app stores. You do have the ability to change your browser, I think, right? And obviously different payment methods. All of these things are fully supported and allowed out or in the EU. You come to the US, no, that's not a thing.
Yeah,
I swear a cat just rubbed against my chair. So yeah, this is a real problem. I was gonna say, Google seems a lot less interested in doing that kind of hinky behavior. They will do a few things that are, sort of iffy when it comes to US versus any other part of the world, but I don't think they're gonna go to that extreme. Oh God, stop listening. Anyway, yeah. So
hope they can figure something out.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I don't use F-Droid basically ever, but I'd like to think that they'll come up with a resolution.
I have F-Droid on. F-Droid is always the store I use on every weird Android device that doesn't have Google Play. So yeah. I always had it on like the Fire tablets. I had it on. It's on my Meta Quest actually, because it's now that the Amazon App Store is gone. It's basically just F-Droid and that front end for the that unofficial front end for the Play Store that I forget the name of, but some apps don't work through that. So
sorry, I have a cute little girl right here.
That's fine. What does she think about F-Droid?
She would very happily beat it around and claw it to death, because she's a violent little girl, aren't you?
That's fair. We're open to opinions here.
Yeah, well, even things she likes, she'll play with very, very violently. Anyway.
Yeah, that's that. The last thing I'll bring up, I forgot to put in the list until after we started, but I'm reviewing a thing which doesn't really happen anymore because I don't really have much time for that. But I'll put this in the YouTube chat. I don't really want to go grab it and try to hold it up to the camera because it weighs like 40 pounds or 50 pounds. But it is a EcoFlow Delta 3 Max. Is it the Max? Yeah, it's the Max portable power station, which is this giant battery. So these are like the big power stations that you can plug like solar panels into and run appliances on. The main feature of this is just that it is, I think, 21. It is 20 kilowatt hours, I believe. Or no, that's expandable. What is the built-in capacity? I think it's 10 kilowatt hours or something, but it's a lot, and it has 3,000 watt output. with 6,000 watt surge, and I don't go camping, and I've not had like an actual power outage since I got this, which is, you know, good, I guess, but I wouldn't mind it as a test. But so I've just been like plugging in random appliances to this. So I plugged my fridge into it, and it lasted for a little under a day on the
Wow.
battery. Yeah,
Pretty good.
yeah. Which, like, granted, with fridges, if you don't ever open them, they can last for a while because they only run to, when it needs to cool down again. And I think I only opened the fridge maybe like 5 times. So I don't know, if you're a frequent fridge opener, your mileage may vary. But it ran my fridge for a little bit under a day. I plugged my networking stuff into it, which is my router, modem, SmartThings Hub, and two base Synology NAS, and that worked for over a day. I think that was like 26 hours. Um, so it is a large boy. It's very heavy, and it's pretty cool. I wish they had sent solar panels because I do want to try that eventually. They did not. Um, Also, if you buy one, you get a trolley. I wish they sent me a trolley because
Yeah.
it is really heavy. It has big handles though, which is nice. But my main test for this was I really didn't want. I was trying to eliminate as many possible points of failure about Techathon as possible leading up to it. So during the actual day, my everything at my desk, including my PC and MacBook Pro, were plugged into this as it was plugged into the wall, using this as a giant UPS, and it worked fine that whole time. So I have the listing on my phone where I think it used. I can check like how much power it used through all the outlets, but worked fine for that whole thing. Thankfully, never had a power outage. I had like one brief internet outage during it. That was like earlier in the day, and I don't know if that was the ISP or something else, but I can't control that. Um, but it can charge from a wall. It can charge from solar panels if you have them. It has two of the solar ports. They also sell a bunch of expansion batteries you can plug into like the back of it to add capacity. I don't have any of those. But yeah, it can charge a bunch of different ways. They advertise you can charge from like a generator. I don't have a generator, but I was charging with the wall outlet. I did get a cable from Amazon that lets me charge it through my car, but that is pretty slow for this. So, and I realized I could have maybe got a better cable to get like slightly faster charging, but it's still a lot for this battery. Because it takes a few hours to fully top up at the maximum it can pull from my wall, which is like 1,800 watts. So it's a big boy, but I'm reviewing it. Maybe we'll have a review up next week. Depends on how quickly I can write it. But if you need a big battery, so far recommend. My only issues is just that it's massive, and I would have expected more stuff in the box for how much it costs. This is retailing for $1,500. On their website right now, it's on sale for $799. But in the box, it's literally just the battery and the wall plug. So you gotta supply your own solar panels, adapters for powers and generators and stuff if you want to use those. But other than that, it's been fine. But what else did I do with it? Oh yeah, the kind of interesting thing here, and I've not used any competing products to this, so maybe this is a common feature, and I need to do more research, which I'm gonna do before I write the review. Is they do have an app that's pretty cool, and it's the same app they use for like their super beefy like whole house solar charging thing. So I get a cool graph in the app of like, here's how it's charging and like the current charging levels and everything plugged into it. I can turn on and off the outlets and set up like maximum charging ranges. And there is a cool thing where you can have it at like a low charge, and then if a storm is coming, it'll send you like a notification to charge. And I believe it can start charging if it's plugged into the wall, but if not, it'll, that's your reminder to go plug it in. So seems pretty cool. Again, I'm still testing it, but it seems to work as intended. I just would have expected more cables and adapters and stuff with how expensive it is. But yeah, kind of neat. I've never had a big battery.
So I mean, it's certainly cool. Congratulations. I've never had a big battery besides the one I reviewed for AP, which is the Ampace Andes 1500, which it's kind of funny. It looks like our CMS broke yet another thing, so all of the stats for this battery are not showing, but
here's the battery. It's really big.
Oh, hold on. There we go. I think that was the right view. Yeah. Yeah, that is a chunky battery.
It is. I'm gonna put it down now. It's heavy.
And you said, if I recall, that was a 2. What was it? 2,000 watt hour. Is that correct?
I need to scroll down to the bottom because I was reading the expansion capacity. It is 2,048 watt hours.
Okay. The one that I reviewed was 1462.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, yours is about a quarter larger than the one I've got. And yeah, I used mine during a couple of power outages. It's certainly been helpful for that, but for the most part, it's mostly just there as a backup. I haven't put it into too many situations where it's needed otherwise. Though in the very near future, I'm going to be carting it out to a couple of other not even distant locations. I just need to do a few things outside of the house, and being able to drag this instead of trying to take a extension cable or trying to find somewhere I can plug in or anything like that. Like, this is just going to be a much easier solution. And
yeah,
it's not that heavy that I'd be dying to carry it somewhere.
Yeah, and I this is the annoying thing. I talked about this when I got the UPS for my network setup. Is once I got the UPS, I didn't have any more extended power outages.
Yeah, that has a way of happening.
I had when I moved here, there were a couple. There was one that was I think close to 12 hours, maybe more. Like, just massive storm near me that took down a tree like directly outside. I've not had one like that since then. It's pretty much just a power line went down somewhere, and Duke Energy has to redirect it somewhere, so my power goes out for like 2 seconds, which is just long enough to be inconvenient. And that's most of my outages. There was one 2 days ago. I woke up and there was an email from my NAS that was like, power went out at 4:30. Power went back on at 4:30. So, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe there'll be some super extended outage or some other thing where this will be useful. But yeah, so I'm still reviewing that. I ran out of I don't really have anything else to like push this super hard. If I had more extension cables, I could like plug in my PC and the fridge and a couple other things all at once, but I don't I don't have cables that long right now. I gotta go buy those.
Yeah. And I gotta say, with the power station I reviewed, I plugged that into a heater because one of the power outages came when it was middle of winter last winter, and yeah, it was super cold. And being able to run a heater for it worked out that it could only run the heater for about an hour because heaters, as it turns out, take a ton of power. But I mean, that was enough to keep the house comfortable and not cross into the freezing territory for sure. So yeah, that was.
And then you can set the battery on fire, and that's a good, lithium ion fire that never goes out.
Yeah, that that certainly is a backup plan. Yeah, so yeah, no, I'm a big.
That's why you need the gaming PC.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm a big fan of power stations. I think it'd be kind of nice if just more people could get their hands on them. It's just a shame because they're also really expensive. Yeah, the one I reviewed, it started at $1,400, and when I had reviewed it, it was down to between 11 and 1,000. So it had dropped a bit. I see the one you're reviewing has also dropped actually quite a bit. It's like half price, though. I think the one I reviewed is now too.
Yeah, they claim this is an early launch deal, but I don't know. Maybe this will be one of those things that's perpetually on sale.
A lot of them do kind of end up that way. I've noticed Jackery tends to have quite a lot of sales for their products. Yeah. Which sort of, without giving too much away, but for anyone who has been waiting to hear something like this, I'm gonna be posting some video reviews soon. I know I've said this in the past and it was a little bit more vague. Let's just say there's definitely some things actually lined up for sure that are getting video reviews. But at some point in the future, I very much want to reach out to a few of the power station companies and just be like, hey, I want to review some of your stuff. So can we work something out?
And those are the best ones because they never ask for those back. They're too
and that
it's too much of a pain in the ass to get that back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing it necessarily for free stuff, but I won't deny that having a few power stations around, especially when you're in situations like I have been in the past, where, for example, the middle of winter, there was a giant snowstorm and my power was out for a full week. Well, it was longer than a week actually, and then the internet was out for 2 weeks. Yeah, that's awful. That sucks. I do not enjoy that at all. But having it, like, if I had a power station during that, it would have been a pretty big change. It would have really improved the situation in very, very tangible ways. So
yeah, because that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, what would be the realistic use case for this for me as someone who is in a city? I know your situation's different, but
yeah,
I was thinking like, okay,
nowhere.
If I have like a localized power outage, then like if there's stuff here that I need to keep powered, I can keep it powered for a while and then go drive myself to insert, coffee place, restaurant, whatever, siphon their power for a couple hours, go back, keep, plug everything back in. Not, the car plug-in is not very helpful, but that's like, I don't know, some emergency thing I can mess around with, but something like that I guess would be the most realistic use case if I had an extended outage. Especially with stuff like fridges, where fridges are fine for at least a couple hours, as long as you do not open the door
Yes.
and let out all the cold air. So, if there's some situation where like, shit, I just bought like $200 worth of groceries or something. Yeah, I can plug it in the battery and then unplug it for a couple hours, go somewhere, plug it back in. It's fine. The food is fine. It worked out. So,
For
I
what
don't know,
it's
stuff
worth,
like that.
in my situation where the power had gone out for a week, my solution was to take many of the items out of the fridge, put them still back into coolers, but drag them outside and just fill the coolers with snow. I'm not
Yeah,
kidding.
that,
100%.
I mean, yeah, we don't get snow down here though. That won't work for me.
Yeah, that is fair. But yeah, I'll tell you that actually, not even kidding. The biggest problem was actually keeping things from freezing.
Yeah.
That's a situation you don't necessarily think about, but yeah,
Right.
you actually need to put things into coolers so that they don't get colder outside and become frozen.
Yeah.
And man, don't get me started on how much effort went into being able to quote unquote cook or just warm up food. Oh, dude, that was the worst. But anyway, no, the other thing that, and I know that this goes off into definitely something most people don't need or care about, but the other thing I've wanted to have a power station for is a few times I've wanted to go out with gear to do photo shoots in places where there's no electricity. And sure, you can bring batteries, like small batteries for a few things, but you want to set up like a big light, a few lights, anything like that, you really want to be able to plug that stuff in, and a power station is an answer for that. You're gonna have a miserable time if you tried doing that all on just battery power for, and maybe one light, that's fine, but doing that with regular batteries, it's hell. That's an actual operational pain in the ass. So yeah, I want to use a power station for something like that. And I haven't gone out and done that anytime recently, but I very much have plans for something to that effect. Again, more on that in the future.
Yeah, I'm hoping eventually I can get some solar panels, either for review or just spending my own money and test those out. Like, because one thing that would be very funny to do is I don't have like a yard, obviously, but I have a patio area where like sometimes there is direct sunlight. And I think it would be good content to write about, like, okay, how much can I offload from my apartment's power with the sun? Like, and it's not going to be a lot, and that's the
No.
reason why I've not done this yet, and why like I'm probably not going to spend much on it. If I got solar panels, it would be for the shit's hitting the fan. I can't drive to Sheets to siphon their power. But I think it would be a fun thing to try if the opportunity arises. Is like, I'm putting my solar panels in the best position I possibly can in my situation where I have just a patio, and see what that does. How can I run my PS5 sometimes using the power of the sun? Maybe.
Yeah, well, for what it's worth, consoles and computers actually just don't take in nearly as much as a lot of other things do. Like they don't even pale in comparison to like appliances. Appliances are just so much hungrier for power.
Well, that's the worst part of this, is that I'm getting the same feeling I got getting my CO2 meter, and like my other power meter is like, I didn't want to know how much electricity my fridge uses. It's like, why the fuck are you using 200 watts of power for like 3 minutes straight every hour? Like, what? That's what my PC does. Like, I was looking at the power levels when I was streaming for Techathon, and like with everything going on and playing a game, it's like 300 watts something. It's like, why are you using a gaming PC amount of power to keep like my pizza cold? But I know that's just physics. But it's cursed. It's knowledge I didn't want to bear, but I now know.
I suppose
Um,
that's fair. Though it's pretty
that's
much all about
the
that compressor in the fridge.
yeah, yeah,
Like that's the whole
and
answer. The compressor is everything.
yeah, and it's really funny, the kitchens are built to have like, okay, here's the appliance that gets hot, and here's the one that gets cold. We're putting them right next to each other, and that's how every home is built. And there's no like heat pump stuff anywhere that could like optimize that anyway. It's just like, no, we're putting it there. But the big battery thing is why I didn't like, because I've thought about getting one of these on and off over the years, spending the money, and it's like I don't really need to do that anymore, because again, city, I'm not having a lot of power outages, and I can charge my MacBook with a phone charger. So
Yeah.
like, barring other situation where like shit, I need to like keep this appliance running or something, I'm just driving to Panera and or like charging my laptop in the car with my phone charger, and that's fine. It's going to be done in 30 minutes of running my car.
Yeah.
So, those dang power efficient Apple laptops.
No, for real. When I had that big power outage, I once the roads were clear enough that I could actually get into the city, I went to a few different places and just set up wherever I could find like outlets and whatever and plug in. And at various points, it's like I was working full days, still doing teardowns and stuff like that, and like a lot of the places, they didn't mind me being there, but there was just a point where like they were closing. It was the end of the business day, and I'm still like, yo, I've got a bunch of stuff I still need to do. Okay, where am I going to next? And not only was that sort of just really annoying to have to pack up everything and move a few times, but obviously every place I went, it's like I feel I kind of have to like order something. I feel obligated if nothing else. And actually huge thanks to I wish I could remember her name, but she was I think married to the owner of the place. I mean obviously they were both owners, but the guy who like founded the place, she was the bartender there, and she was just super cool about like, I told her, hey, my power outage at my house, just came here. Do you care if I like just set up in the corner and work for the next couple of hours? And she's like, oh, absolutely. Yeah, no problem. Can I get you anything? Do you need like chargers, or do you need this? Do you need that? And it's like, no, I'm good. Thank you though. And yeah, she was super cool about everything. And yeah, it made a point of like asking me, hey, you're welcome to come back tomorrow, do it all again, all that stuff, which to be fair, middle of the week, nobody cares anyway. But yeah, it's awesome when you have those as options, but at the same time, it's still not as convenient as just being able to actually work from your house with a proper monitor and everything else. Trying to do teardowns on a laptop screen it wears on you a lot.
Yeah. So I'll have a review of this hopefully soon. But I need to do a lot of research, so I'm not talking out of my butt. Because again, I'm not familiar with this market like much at all. Just a couple times I've looked at some of these batteries. Like I was looking a couple weeks ago at some like Anchor ones on clearance. I didn't end up getting them, but yeah, I mean it seems cool. It is kind of neat where if it's plugged in and on Wi-Fi, it works through can control it through an app, like just as any other smart appliance. And when I'm out of Wi-Fi, the app works exactly the same, but it switches to the Bluetooth connection, which is cool.
Yeah, I think mine does too. Both of those things.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but yeah, it was pretty. It had some neat features. Not a ton of stuff. There's only so much you can do with a power station. But yeah, it could tell you how much it was using at any given time. It I think told you which ports were plugged in. I might have that wrong. And I think you could even turn on and off individual ports, but I'm not totally sure on that. Also, mine has a really annoying lighting scheme, and you could technically control that through the app too, but you couldn't like set a default, which was super annoying. Every time it turns on, it goes back to its original default state. It's like, can that not be a thing? Like, please put some memory in and solve that.
Yeah, I do get worried about expensive appliances where a lot of their features are only accessible through an app. You're like, okay, I better hope this app lasts for the entire lifespan of this device, or I'm going to be in trouble. Especially when I got it, and I got the review unit before I got the review guide. So the only information I had about it was like the quick start guide in it. So when I was setting up and it was asking me for my Wi-Fi password, I'm like, why does the battery have Wi-Fi? But it's for that. It's so you can turn on and off the outlets and see how it's going and do all the like weather alert stuff. But yeah, I mean it's neat. Again, I don't think I'm going to end up using it much for its intended purpose, but it's there when it will be needed.
I mean, I would argue if you're using it, it's for an intended purpose.
Yeah. Well, my intended purpose is to review it.
Well, okay. I get it. I mean, that is its intended purpose for that one.
Yes. Yeah. And then eventually I'll get some solar panels just to mess around. But yeah. So that's all I have.
Wow. We talked about power station way longer than I thought we would.
Batteries are fun.
I suppose that's true. So yeah, all said, for anyone out there who's interested in a power station, either wait out for Corbin's review, and I'll put up a referral link maybe for it. If anyone's interested in any other power stations, let me know. I'll put up referral links for them. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't get paid more if you click How to Geeks link, so you should click How to link.
Exactly.
My salary stays the same.
And hey, I have every reason in the world to take their referral or affiliate checks away from them. So bonus.
Oh, Carson asked about Google Home Premium. No, I forgot to put in all the Google stuff, but it was mostly changes to their subscription plans and then new cameras, and then they teased the new Google Home speaker, which is the only one I wrote about, because I was like, okay, that's a new speaker, that's the important one. I'll start writing about that. And then I opened the press release. It's like, great, there is 3 paragraphs of information about this speaker because it's coming out next year. It's coming out, I don't know if they said quarter. I think it might just be the first half of next year, because it's supposed to ship with Gemini, and they said they're not going to do that until it rolls out to existing speakers. So
yeah, and it's funny because I'm not going to say trusting you to put that in, because I actually went looking for the link to it, and I got sidetracked at one point. The thing is, I know so little about this at this point, because I never got to review basically anything after the Google Home, and outside of a Nest Protect, I never bought any of their other stuff. smart speakers and a smart display, but I never bought into any of their other Nest related products. So I never actually got too acclimated to any of their platform. Obviously, I saw the discussion about yet another app redesign, which, okay, how many times can you redesign and still sort of miss the mark?
Yeah, I know it was mostly like performance rewrites, and the design was just sort of the extra thing. But yeah,
sure. I got the impression that it was both. Like I think they intentionally did the redesign, and while they were at it, it's like, let's also make sure that this fixes the performance complaints that people have had for the entire life of this Google Home app. But beyond that, I kind of only really got the bits that showed up in Discord, which was mostly that conversation about what features are going to be connected with which plans. And honestly, I couldn't even follow the discussion as people were figuring it out, because it looks like they really overcomplicated things and they're not really disclosing what comes with which plan. I mean, they're obviously disclosing some of it, but like which devices get which things, what features come with which plan. That almost seems like it needs a thorough chart to detail just how complicated this kind of is starting to become. Unless I misunderstood the conversation, it's possible I did, but yeah,
I only looked at the speaker, so, which not a lot of information, except that it's funny they're going back to the Google Home name, so not a Nest Audio again, and it's going to be smaller than the Nest Audios, which makes me worry that the sound quality probably not be as good, but we don't know yet. Yeah, it will still be $100 though when it shows up. So I guess that's good. That matches no, that doesn't match the original Google Home speaker, because I think that was like $80 or something.
No, it was 100.
Okay.
Or actually, no. Wait, 129, I think. I might have that wrong, but I swear it was 129. I even reviewed it, so
it is 129, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, still cool looking speaker. The Febreze canister, perfect.
Yeah, honestly, it's still my favorite out of the speaker line. I mean, if I'm comparing on like speaker versus smart display, I do like the smart displays more, even though the speakers in them were terrible. But yeah, I really liked just the audio quality out of the Google Home. It was such a small thing, but it was really good. Good for its size. Okay, let's see. I did pull up the plans real quick. The standard is still there, $10 a month, $100 a year. 30 days of event-based video history, intelligent alerts, Gemini for Home, which is going to be a limited version of Gemini, and the Help Me Create, which is going to be the automations thing. But then you go to the advanced, which is doubling their prices. That bumps it from 30 to 60 days of event history. It gets 24/7 video history, so just, I guess, permanent recording on wired cameras and doorbells. 10 days of 24/7 history. But still, is that just literally constantly streaming video? That's kind of actually seems awful in other ways. You'll get descriptive notifications. So basically, it's whenever it sends you a notification, it's just going to take a thumbnail and send it through Gemini asking, what's in this picture? You'll be able to search your video history, which, okay, that's actually a cool feature. I don't know how much use you'd get out of it if you're also able to use the event-based history, but okay. It's going to do event descriptions, which just like the descriptive notifications, same thing. And daily summaries. See a summary of recorded events and a daily recap with help from Gemini so you never miss a thing at home. That is a dumb... Okay, whatever. I want to know who that's for, where they think that's a worthwhile feature. I'm sure somebody, but I genuinely cannot picture it. So yeah. There's that. I don't get it, honestly. I kind of don't.
Yeah, I'm very tuned out of the smart camera market as well. I have a camera, but it's a TP-Link Casa one, and it's indoors, so it only gets plugged in when I'm gone for more than like a couple hours. And it works fine for the task of just knowing when there's loud noises or movement. Because theoretically, a apartment maintenance person could come in while I'm gone, and I can, if I want to watch them, I can.
Yeah,
that's basically it.
And then there's
if I'm being robbed, I can watch being robbed until they unplug the camera.
Yeah. Then there's the plans that they have for the Google Home speaker. So if you don't pay anything, you still get Gemini for home, media playback, broadcast, and parental controls. Nothing there's surprising. And I'm sure Gemini for home is going to be basically assistant, but slightly chattier and more prone to hallucinations. The standard, which is $10 a month, and again, this is for a speaker, not a camera, not something that's going to justify it a little more. It's $10 a month for just a speaker. This is going to include Gemini Live, which is basically a super chatty version of Gemini for home. The Help Me Create, which you can ask it to make automations for you. And Sound Detection, which will detect smoke and carbon monoxide alarms and glass breaking. That's the only thing I feel is useful here. Because the Help Me Create, like if it's automations, most people are going to be just as well served going on the internet and looking for like automations that other people share. Guaranteed, people are going to be writing out their automations. People already do that. Like this is already a thing. If you want this, sure you could describe it, but you're just going to get a copy paste of what other people already got. So just look for what other people already got it anyway. Like you're going to get as good or better results. Gemini Live, if you need to talk to a chatbot, I guess, okay. But I don't know. It doesn't seem worth it to me. And then if you want to pay double that, go to the $20 a month thing. That just includes the search for video history, which is only useful if you have cameras, and the daily summaries, which, again, why? So I can't fathom a reason anyone should be paying $20 a month for this. This sounds terrible. Even the $10 a month, at least I can maybe get it, but I don't think that's worth it either.
That's the theme of the day, is this costly.
Yeah, everything costs too much and it's not good. Oh.
Which is why you should go on Cody's Patreon instead. Do you know how much bang for your buck you're getting here? You're getting us reading not reading the articles we put into the notes and then talking about them for 3 hours. It doesn't get better than this.
I have read some of them, mostly the ones that I put in, and I at least skimmed some of the ones that you put in. Otherwise, I let you talk about them, and then I feed off of that.
And Cody showed a cat. Like, do you know how much value you're getting here?
Yeah, how many people show off Bengal cats or
Yeah.
half bred Bengal cats?
Yeah. And he shouldn't do that again because I'm allergic. It could cause it could cause issues.
Yes, on the literal opposite side of the country.
Yeah.
But I know cats do have that effect.
Well, I mean, they know how to use the internet, so it can transfer
If there's
over the call.
If there's any creature on this planet that has a mastery of the internet, it is in fact cats.
Yeah.
Wow. This has gone to such a weird place. I appreciate that. In fact,
perfect time to end it on a high note.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at this point, could we sound any higher? And on that, I think that's the perfect spot to stop. All right. So, Corbin, is there anything you'd like to pitch, publish, talk about, mention, detail in excruciating detail?
I will put the Techathon donate in the chat one more time. Even though the event is over, you can still give money. It makes the total go up a little bit more. So, if you want, you can still do that.
Excellent. And again, cheers for having done Techathon. I know you did a crap load of work to make that happen. And outside of those early technical difficulties, which were hilarious, by the way, everything went seemingly pretty smooth.
Yes.
At least
this is how everything I go plans, or everything I plan goes. Christ. Where like it somehow works, and it's shocking.
Sure, we'll go with that.
But not me trying to speak, apparently.
Oh, it's times like this that I almost want to keep the show going longer, just because I know it only invites you to have more mistakes. But anyway, yeah, so it was a good time. I think most people generally agreed it went over pretty well, and certainly we should be planning on the next time we'll be doing one. Not yet, next year, but yeah, coming up. Let's see. Again, I'll reiterate. Yeah, Amazon Prime Day is coming up. I'll have a website up, affiliate links. Please use if you feel so inclined. Otherwise, yeah. Oh, and as usual, I will be game streaming this weekend. That's pretty much a given. And we will be back. Corbin and I will be doing some more RambleCasty goodness next week on Wednesday, most likely, unless something serious gets in the way, which who knows. The world we live in right now, next thing I know is ICE agents could be invading from Portland. At this stage, that seems like a possibility as much as anything else. So, hopefully we'll be doing a RambleCast next week is the main point. But with that, thank you all for coming by, hanging out, being part of the conversation. And as always, huge thanks to supporters of the channel, Carson, Austin, David, Diablo, and Alyssa. Y'all are awesome. And to anyone who would like to support the channel, there are links down below to Cash App, Streamlabs, and Patreon. And yeah, I think that about covers it. So I hope everyone has an excellent rest of their evening, and I'll see you in the next one. Good night, everybody.
Bye.